Well, this was one of those fascinating pairings that had people around the league going, huh, is that going to work?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Is that going to work? So when it's all said and done, if we decide if it worked or not, it'll be because of what factor?
For me, it's going to be the supporting cast. I think anytime you get great players with high IQs, they're going to figure it out how to play with each other. That's, to me, a non-issue. Their two best players are good enough for them to compete with anybody in the league. It's going to be how good are their 3 through 9 players. That's how I look at it for the Houston Rockets, because those two guys, both unguardable, both as good as anybody in the league at their position, and in Chris's case, a solid defender as well. I think they'll be fine. It's just a matter of how much can they elevate those other guys to play at a championship caliber level. That's what we will find out, and we'll get a semblance of it tonight. It's still early. They won't be who they are till, like we said with the other guys, January.
Right.
But you'll at least, Isaiah, you'll be able to at least look and see, okay, I can see how this is going to be played out moving forward.
So when I think of Chris Paul and I think of his style of play, I think Chris Paul, Greg Popovich together. I don't think Chris Paul, Mike D'Antoni together, because I don't see Chris Paul, being a guy that's just going to come down and shoot three-pointers and be satisfied, some nights going 3 for 15 from the field. I see him as more of a grinded out, strategic thinking, cerebral type of player where, he can come in and just pick you apart. I see that more San Antonio than Houston. Houston, to me, is the gunslingers.
Right.
Chris Paul, he's not a gunslinger to me. So I'm interested to see philosophically, will this work? Talent-wise, yeah, they got the talent. But philosophically, does he fit with this Houston philosophy of no mid-range shots, right, which is where he's deadly at? And will he take his mid-range game and just totally toss it out the window and say, I'm going to go out here and just chuck up threes? I don't know, but I'm interested to see.
It's interesting. He has played more methodically over the years. This is a different system. He was really good on catch and shoot threes last year, and that's something he's going to have to do, obviously.
It is, but also, he's never played with somebody as dynamic as he is as a guard. And so, I've always felt this way. It's like if you play in an all-star game. When the really great ones all get together, it's easier to figure out.
Yeah.
Because remember, now he's not going to be getting double teamed. His guy's going to be helping. Don't help off Chris Paul when you're guarding Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And so he's going to basically have more space to play with. And I think that part's going to work. If he were a low IQ guy, or James Harden were a low IQ guy, but just really talented players, I'd have more questions. But
so
when
let me
when
challenge
they have
you
high
here.
IQs, I think they figure it out.
You were known as a great defender, right? Could you play for a coach who was like, dude, we don't worry about the D, it's just about the O? D'Antoni is really about the O more so than the D. Chris Paul comes to the table and he's got defensive pride. He's got okay, I'm first team all defense. I want to challenge this guy. I want to stop this guy. Where's my help at? I'm forcing this guy over here. That's how you was.
I agree with that.
So that's where I'm looking at, his defensive mentality, his offensive mentality, his basketball philosophy.
Right.
Does it fit with this Houston?
Can a button-down guy, which Chris Paul has been, play in this wild, freewheeling system?
I think
it's like the Catholic school kid going to the public school team.
Yeah, but the one thing that's different, he is an alpha male. So I do think that his personality, which also will complement Harden, because I think he's more, not that Harden isn't a leader, but he's more of a vocal leader. He's more of a guy that I think will challenge the status quo. I think he'll challenge Mike D'Antoni, because ultimately now it ain't about just winning games and scoring points. We're trying to win the West. And in order for us to win the West, we got to do a little bit more on that side of the ball. And I think he is better suited as a personality to challenge D'Antoni, Harden, and the rest of those guys in that manner. Doesn't mean it's going to get them over the hump, because
sure.
Some pretty damn good teams out west.
Yeah.
But I do think that if anybody could do it, he's vocal enough to do it. He's not a guy that's just going to sit back and bite his tongue. You wouldn't sit back and bite your tongue.
No, I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. So I don't see it being, can Chris Paul play? I think it's a philosophical conversation. Philosophically, do they basketball, genres fit with each other's?
Right. By all accounts, they cooked this up together, Harden and Chris Paul, and decided.
But
they
did
wanted to
anybody
play
call
together.
Mike D'Antoni though? That's what he's asking.
Mike D'Antoni probably said, "Yeah,
He's like,
sure."
huh? Yeah, we
Chris
can
Paul?
try it.
Yeah,
Chris
I
Paul,
like him.
yeah,
He can
sure,
score.
yeah. Bring him in.
Absolutely.
Can he shoot threes? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take him.